And so cannot resume order for business transacted on the floor of the House. So as soon as that is done, business will resume. We also expect Mr. Miu of Kalabo Central to ask the Ministry for electricity production in Kalabo District. If so, when the plans will be implemented, what the estimated cost of the project. If there are no such plans, why? Questions? Earlier we did say standing order number 8 is 7. The 8th one is actually on the floor of the House, and we do expect the acting minister of Youth, Sports and Arts to actually continue responding to questions. On the floor of the House before the break was Chinsali Omeka. Mr. Kalalu Mukosa was just about to ask a follow-up question to a of Nairobi C.
Business was suspended. The House was 178 on paper by the Honorable Member for Nalolo, and the Honorable Member for Chinsali was about to ask a supplementary question. May Member for Chinsali continue?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your answer you indicated that the government is working that the regulations in NYDC Act is repealed and replaced. You further indicated that the youths are being consulted extensively. Honorable Minister, having given that background, I would like to find out from you the key issues that have been raised by the youths that this new bill is going to address. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much.
Youth, Sport and Arts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that follow-up question from Mr. Mr. Speaker, we all appreciate that the NYDC Act looks at the various sports disciplines in our country, and therefore the larger part of the sports that are undertaken in this country are actually undertaken by our youth. Mr. Speaker, we have had serious engagement with the youth, as I had mentioned in my response, and some of the issues that pertaining to our youth obviously is issues to do with inclusivity, and you may have heard us on various forums, including that of Mr. President, talking about no sport is a minor sport, or all sports are similar and they need to be supported as such. And these are some of the mischiefs that this particular piece of legislation will try to cure, to ensuring that issues regarding to inclusivity, to deal with those colleagues of ours also included as they are youthful as well, some of them were youths. Also issues to do with empowerment. We have actually realized that in the last Indaba that was held in 2024, Mr. Speaker, some of the issues that our youths raised was how to monetize these particular sports disciplines that are part of. And it is on that background, Mr. Speaker, that we have decided to include some of those many discussions and rather the many submissions from the various sectors of the youth in our country to be included in this particular piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Next, Honorable Member for Kanchuvia.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your responses. My question would be that for the last 10 years, the National Youth Development Council has not had a board. And in the absence of a board, government or governments have continued to fund the National Youth Development Council. And I can say without any shadow of doubt that young people have complained that the NYDC has a cash cow. In terms of the sense of urgency on the part of government, would there be a measure to investigate what has happened over the last 10 years with regard to financial misappropriation, etc.? Because clearly the evidence is there by young people that over the last 10 years it's been turned into a cash cow. And maybe that's the reason why forces have been fighting to bring about this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
The Acting Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much for that follow-up question. Indeed, those concerns have been raised by many sections of our society with regards to the absence of a board at NYDC, which obviously as a ministry we're not sitting idle, and we really want to have this matter settled very, very quickly. And true to what you've just mentioned, it becomes increasingly difficult to have oversight without a board for an institution that is actually grant-aided by the Republic of Zambia. And I just want to give you comfort that my ministry is working tirelessly to ensuring that whatever funds that are dispersed to NYDC are actually accounted for, and any individual or institution that will be found wanting with regards to the misuse of those funds will definitely be brought to book. But I want to give additional comfort that we as government would look towards having to run institutions such as this one, even as much as we don't have an existing board at the moment, but I can be rest assured you that this board will definitely be appointed as soon as we finalize with this piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, submit.
The Honourable Member for Kakoi.
Youth and sports. We are very much ready to look at this and make it operational. When are you bringing this bill to the committee? I thank you.
The Acting Minister of Youth, Sports and Art.
Thank you. I did mention that this particular bill will be brought to the House within this sitting of Parliament. I submit.
The Honourable Member for Bonam.
Thank you, Minister of Youth and Sport. Mr. Speaker, to the aforesaid institution, and if not, why? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, there is an audit ongoing at
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Question number 179.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte, Parliamentary Constituency, is asking the Minister of Energy two questions. A, how much debt the government accumulated in the procurement of fuel as of July 2021, and in B, how much the debt had accumulated to as of June 2024. Mr. Speaker, our response is as follows. In A, the outstanding petroleum debt as at 31st July 2021 stood at 447,703.110 US dollars, comprised of the principal amount of 208,149,213.47 United States dollars, and late payment interest of 197,649,779.63 million US dollars. In B, the principal debt accumulated to 445,79233.90 prior to cessation of supply on 1st October 2022, when government policy to disengage from procurement took effect. As of 30 2024, accumulated to 495,924.37 million United States dollar, bringing to petroleum debt to 175. Mr. Speaker, you may wish to note that the supply contracts that were signed between 2016 and 2019 provision interest and new supply contracts entered into by this government. During 2024, the government negotiated for capping of interest as of 31st March 2024, and the debt is no longer growing. The government further negotiated discount on late payment interest of 20.2 million United States dollars and paid 100,108.92.01 United States dollar. As of 31st December 2024, the outstanding debt is 180.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Minister of Energy informed the nation this afternoon that 400 million risen to 735 million dollars. You are aware, and I'm sure you've been briefed, that initially there was no duty on fuel and there was no VAT on fuel. And the new government decided to introduce those two. Have you used that money this date, or that money has been used for a different purpose? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, I wish to remind the House that this is a legacy debt. This House is aware the effort this government is doing
Indeed, in my response, Mr. Speaker, I did mention that 109 million was paid. And this is how we have been using this money prudently to service this debt. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, I would like to appreciate your response. Honourable Minister, on what government ledger is the debt of your city? Thank you, sir. On what government ledger is the fuel debt, or was the fuel debt sitting, assuming you have cleared it? Because I recall we did a supplementary budget to clear this debt. But in case you haven't cleared it, where is it sitting in terms of a government ledger? If you did clear it, thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't say that we have cleared this debt. I was saying what efforts this government is doing in order to clear this debt. And I have stipulated the amount that have been paid towards this debt. And we have also stated that currently now, this government has made negotiations to make sure that the interest that is being paid on this debt is not growing. So currently, I even went further to state how much is the outstanding balance that is standing for this debt. And that is the question the Honourable Member was asking. And their figure I have given to the Honourable Member. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Zambezi East is a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I was seated here following the debate undisturbed until my honourable colleague, the honourable member for Lunte, asked that question.
State what has been breached.
Mr. Speaker, it's standing order number 71.
What about 71?
The relevance of speech and debate. Is the honourable member for Lunte in order to ask a question to specify the name of the ledger on which the debt is sitting? We are all aware that the government has been magnanimous enough to actually explain all the arrears that exist. We are all aware, and this is in public domain. And the minister went ahead to even specify the figure. And these are arrears. Any public arrears are well known. Do we need to name the ledger by a name, honestly speaking, to try and confuse the people out there? That the minister's role is to come and explain the ledgers here. In order to sit there, causing drama in the house in that fashion. Mr. Speaker, I need your serious ruling.
Order. The Honourable Lunte out of order because there is no reason whatsoever that the minister could be in a position to specify a particular ledger where the debt is standing. And most importantly, there's been an acknowledgement that the debt is sitting. How it's positioned by the Ministry of Finance, absolutely that's the duty of government. But let's, Honourable Member for Nkana, I'll send you out. When I'm guiding, you listen. You should listen and listen attentively. The Honourable Member for Lunte was completely out of order. Ensure that there is relevance in your speech to avoid misleading the people out there. You may proceed, Honorable Member. Honorable Member for Lukasha, proceed.
I'm grateful, Honorable Speaker. I hope I won't drown under fear. Honorable Minister, I just wanted to find out, amongst these debts that you have disclosed to the House, how much of this debt was owed to a company called Agrofuel, whose contract was recently terminated by the government, and what plans does the government have to repay the debt after terminating that contract? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't know whether the minister is able to specify even companies that are owed, because it's a different question altogether. I think, honorable members, you can engage the minister on that. Let's make progress. The honorable member for Nkana.
Honorable Minister of Energy, Honorable Minister, I am particularly interested in the period when government disengaged, Prime Minister Kumfwen, when government disengaged from the fuel subsector. The debts that were incurred includes the debt that was agreed to be paid to Agrofuel to clean up the pipeline, which was $18 million. And the arrangement with your minister in ERB was that they were going to have been paid off by the use of the pipeline. Honorable Minister, you are now aware that this debt was paid off and government continued to pay that debt beyond. And ERB has brought it to your attention that you overpaid Agrofuel, which in essence amounts to a crime committed. How are you treating this issue of having overpaid Agrofuel? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable member. Mr. Speaker, the member has taken me up because the question was to state the debt that has been accumulated by procurement of fuels. I'm not aware that agro company was overpaid by this government. I'm not aware. Those facts I don't have, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know where the honorable member is trying to give me these figures. The honorable member is aware even of the figures of which the government paid the agro company. I don't know by how much. The honorable member can come to the ministry and engage his government.
Honorable member for Nkana, you asked the question and the minister was responding, but you kept debating while seated. That point of order I won't grant you. The honorable member for Kawata.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you can even tell that the people that were presiding over the affairs of Zambia actually were plunderers, serious criminals, Mr. Speaker. Because I wonder why someone can actually sign a contract with an agreement of late payment interest. That was stealing from the Zambian people. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out through you, what rationale did these plunderers use to come up with this late payment interest?
Honorable member, withdraw the word plunderers.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw, but I replace it with appropriation.
Okay, thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, I missed his.
question is, Russia over there used to come up with this agreement that they signed of late payment interest on issues that should have actually been signed without adding interest. So what Russia did?
The Honorable Minister Ovele.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member.